What is real is their programming. In a season that is full of love stories, Maeve and her daughter, Akane and Sakura, Teddy and Dolores. It's not only a season about the people that we fight, it's a season about the reasons we fight, and that's because of the people that we love.
What is up, Westworld fans? My name is BobaTalks and welcome to another breakdown slash review of episode 8. Now, I think a lot of people enjoyed this episode a lot more than what they thought they would. Now, I have to say, when I saw the promo, I wasn't being too judgmental, but I thought, okay, this is going to be kind of like that episode before where we didn't see too much of the other stories that were unfolding in Westworld, you know, with such like Dolores and other storylines that we're used to seeing. And the episode I'm talking about is when Maeve and the others discovered, you know, the samurai versions of themselves. And in this episode, I thought, you know, it would be an interesting story. There'd be definitely some things that would be revealed that we'd be looking forward to, and oh boy, that did happen. We got some diamonds in this episode, but yeah, I definitely think it was just absolutely wonderful. On top of just some really cool pieces to the puzzle that we definitely were searching for, that now just slot beautifully to the puzzle of season 1 as well. And just the fact that we realized that there have been hosts awoken more than ever during even season 1, during the events of everything we've seen in Westworld. And it kind of makes Dolores seem a little bit less special in my eyes. And now, trust me, guys, I love Dolores, but you know what I mean? It kind of makes, and I'm glad they played this card, it makes all hosts seem so much more special than just the ones that we have been exposed to who have been awoken. This episode made us sympathize with everyone, because at the minute in season 1 and season 2 we've been exposed to characters like Maeve, Dolores, Teddy, and along the line we have seen them awoken, we have empathized with them, we have grown close to them, but this episode just made us feel that way towards just so many people. So anyway guys, let's get into everything now. I like how the episode opened up with the man in black, and he was just like, don't you fucking do it, you're not dying, not here, not yet. And this is where the Ghost Nation leader, Akasheta, I hope I'm pronouncing that right because I'm going to be saying it through the rest of this video, brought him back to the camp. And this is when we got that first really important line where he says, death is a passage from this brutal world, and you don't deserve it. If you guys remember, obviously in the last episode, it was as if it was deja vu. Akasheta took Maeve's daughter back to the camp, just like in the narrative where Maeve lost her daughter before. And this introduced an absolutely wonderful way of telling the story of this episode. It was Akasheta talking to Maeve's daughter and reminiscing and telling the story of his journey so far in Westworld, and actually revealing so many things that tie so many loops and knots, or should I say unravels the knots, in so many things that we almost had forgotten about to a degree. Now obviously I know there's going to be some people watching this video saying, wait, I didn't forget about a single thing, but you know what I mean. There's lots of things in this episode that gets revealed where it's like, what, right, now this fits in with that piece, and this piece, and that piece, like I mentioned earlier, with the pieces of the puzzle that are now forming together. Now what is immediately pointed out to the audience is that Maeve's daughter is also awake, because he says you can remember all the things you've seen from all your previous lives, and so can obviously Akasheta. And this is where everything unfolded, because during the episode he explains how he once had a much different life. He was in love and couldn't really get any more content life, and that was up until really the day that Arnold died, because he stumbled across that moment in time, and he went into the tavern or the bar or whatever you want to call it, and that is where he saw, just by Arnold's glasses, the maze. Now what we do know is that this maze is a significant thing to Westworld, because it is what awakes hosts. And ever since Akasheta saw this, he realized that something was wrong with this world, and that is the key words in this episode, or the key line: this world is wrong. I just absolutely love how this episode told such a tragic story from other sides of hosts, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, that we weren't really aware of. We've just been all too familiar with feeling sorry for Dolores and other hosts like that who are obviously real and sentient, but there's so much more than that. And this actually even comes from the words of Akasheta himself after he found his love later in the episode, after actually going through the Westworld headquarters. he realized that this grows beyond him. There's other hosts and other people out there who are also mourning, whether that's sons and daughters being plucked and replaced, and then obviously this person realizing that something isn't quite right. This episode, for lack of a better word really, or maybe it is the perfect word, was heartbreaking, especially when throughout the episode Akasheta obviously realized that he wasn't alone in terms of others were also realizing that something wasn't quite right. And we met that lady who realized that her son was replaced, and then obviously after Akasheta went and found his wife and saw all of the hosts who are basically retired hosts and aren't going to be used again. I think one of the most powerful moments of this episode is when he brought back that braid, and she just dropped down on her knees and broke down crying. Now what we have to remember is this lady, for all intents and purposes, still has a son in this narrative, except it's a different host. There's something wrong with this world and they realize it now, and she doesn't care that she's got a new son, and that is what hosts are just meant to, you know, get on with their daily life with. In this moment we realize how real, and if not more human than actual humans themselves, these hosts are. And man, I don't know really what to say else than that was just amazing and so powerful, to the point where I would argue it's one of the most powerful moments in Westworld. I also like how hosts almost have this like myth about the ones below, and how many people tell stories of the humans really, and some people pray to be visited, but also, you know, some people fear that they'll be left down below forever, like Akasheta's love was, basically becoming a host who is not used anymore, or is deemed broken or replaceable, or has maybe gone wrong too many times, like Akasheta's love or that lady's son, and then thus they are replaced in whatever narrative with a different host. But I just love how there's this like speculation amongst some hosts who are kind of aware of it, but who aren't quite aware potentially, and sometimes just choose to get on with it out of fear of not wanting to be going down below or left down below forever. I honestly wasn't sure if we'd see too much of Logan, if at all, again this season, especially with, you know, a few episodes left, but we did, and I love that we got a throwback to after when William essentially left him for dead, and you have to feel for Logan here. Even though he was a complete douchebag, he was left to dehydrate and essentially go mad in the sun. He was talking absolute crap. But this moment when Akasheta found Logan highlighted that moment where he also got awoke again, more or less, and it kind of triggered that thing in him where Logan said this is the wrong world. And after a culmination of all of this and throughout his journey, this is where we also learned that Akasheta started to dedicate his new function, should we say, to enlighten others of their existence, and that there's something wrong with this world. They're just playing somebody else's game, and that is completely and utterly wrong, and he's trying to make more and more people aware of that. Now, with Akasheta dedicating his life to sharing a symbol to awake hosts, this is where we learn such a significant thing in Westworld, that he wanted to help Maeve's daughter as well. He wanted to warn her, but as he said, the world is easy to misunderstand motivations. After watching over Maeve's daughter day in, day out, he obviously just wanted to share the symbol with her to awake her, because we also learned in the episode that Maeve's daughter also helped Akasheta when, you know, he was obviously searching for his wife relentlessly, because after his wife was replaced in the episode, it's like, holy crap, now I have to find what new narrative she has been given in the whole of Westworld, which is absolutely insane and an absolutely mad journey to embark on. And that's what I loved about this episode as well. It just shows the lengths that these hosts would go through for their love, which is just more human than anything. And if there's anything that the show teaches us, the actual humans we are seeing, except for a very few, are more robot and evil than it almost seems a host could ever be in their normal nature. But this brings so much context to Westworld Season 1, if you're ever going to rewatch it again, that when you see Akasheta or the Ghost Nation coming for Maeve, or Maeve's daughter should I say more accurately, it isn't to steal her or anything like that, it is to actually help her. But as he stated as well, someone else was watching you too, and that was William, the man in black, and that is when that story unfolded. But regardless, as we know, Maeve died, her daughter died, but Maeve also saw that symbol on the floor, and you could argue this was the seed that slowly blossomed for Maeve over time, that also made her question her own existence, and maybe that there is something wrong with this world. I also really liked when Akasheta woke up in this episode. It kind of paralleled when Maeve deliberately died to wake up in the Westworld HQ, or the quality assurance place. That was pretty cool, because I really liked that episode in season 1, and that is how she met those two techs. Anyway, after Akasheta knew that he obviously couldn't bring his love back, and we talked about how he already started dedicating his life to sharing that symbol, I just love how as years passed the numbers grew, and all those people in the Ghost Nation were awoken, and they knew that there was this greater meaning. They knew that there was people down below. They knew who and what they kind of were. They may have not really understood fully, but they knew that the world was wrong and that there is a door, because we obviously learned as well that Akasheta discovered William's quote-unquote mistake. But also one of my most favorite moments in the episode that explained quite a lot is when he met the man who put them to sleep, as he says in his own words, in the first place, which of course was Robert Ford. Now what we learned here as well is that Robert Ford was watching Akasheta as much as Akasheta was watching Robert Ford from the beginning. I really liked how Robert was, kind of like digging into the whole Arnold thing again. It's like this symbol was an idea that was meant to die, where'd you find it, to the point where he said analysis, which is essentially cheating the answer out of him. But what was more significant in this conversation is that we essentially learned that Dolores is known as the Deathbringer amongst the Ghost Nation, and Robert Ford says you will know to gather your people and lead them to the new world when the Deathbringer returns for Ford. And of course this took place before Robert Ford died through the hands of Dolores. So what that essentially meant, if somehow you didn't pick that up in the episode, is that he knew obviously he was going to die. We kind of knew that anyway, and he wanted Akasheta to lead his group of enlightened people who have been shared the message, who have awoken as hosts, to literally lead them to the new world, which brings us to near the end of that episode where he's essentially gathering his people. And even when that music kicked in, like, it signified that moment's importance in the episode. That music wanted the viewers to think, holy shit, this all makes sense now with the death of Robert Ford. And then of course that is when we got the flash forward to Robert's retirement party, and then it was like, now it's time to find the door before the Deathbringer ends us all. So as I spoke about in last week's review, I'm wondering if Dolores is becoming this villainous character. Now that couldn't be more clear anyway from the beginning, but I think we all thought, okay, she's going a bit too far sometimes, but for very good reasons. Look at Delos, look at all the lives she's lived, through rape, through murder, through God knows what else. She does back up her points when pressed upon. What I'm worried about, and I think what a lot of fans are worried about, but it makes a brilliant story, is that we're going to lose that Dolores we knew before she was truly awoken with the remembrance of all of her lives and everything like that. This makes sense as well, maybe with the valley beyond and all those people who are drowned in there. It could be Bernard, it could be Ford, but what if it is Dolores after all? Teddy was there. It's all interesting, guys. I would love to know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Now, I have to admit, the Sizemore stuff in this episode was very touching. It definitely plucked a string, or should I say a chord of mine, because, he was absolutely, demanding for Maeve to be fixed, to the point where she, he was like, she can control hosts with her effing mind. He was really trying to signify the importance of this host, that she has to be fixed. Unfortunately, when he was talking to her and he was asking what was going to happen to her when the tech finally agreed to kind of seal it off and start to fix her, but he was like, well, that's up to Charlotte Hale. And I was like, oh, for crying out loud, I do not want Charlotte Hale to get her hands on Maeve, especially in such a vulnerable state where she can't really do anything. But it was so touching and so special, and the reason why I felt this, and I think maybe a lot of people felt this obviously, it's because Westworld does character development extremely well. This Sizemore guy was such a dickhead to begin with. We can all agree on that. But he was just... This is the guy who couldn't probably think any more worse, or who took hosts for granted in the first place, the guy who designed the narratives, and he's become attached. He says, you don't deserve this. He was really empathizing with her. He became very sentimental with her, and he basically thought that hosts were real, to the point where he was holding her hand. He said that you deserve to mother her, her daughter, to love her, to teach her to be joyful and proud. And you know, say what you will about Sizemore, that was just still such good television. But ultimately, Charlotte did arrive, and we got the kind of explanation of, you know, Maeve's force powers. We obviously know that hosts can pass data to each other, but then the tech was like, what if they can pass commands? Because obviously he was looking at the commands. That's how Sizemore managed to get him to fix her in the first place, because he was boasting about her code, because he was like, nobody in the park has been able to regain admin access apart from her. And obviously he goes over what Maeve has done in previous episodes through influencing hosts. And then Charlotte was getting pretty frustrated because she was like, you know, she's doing it right now, who the heck is she talking to? And then we learned that she was communicating with Akasheta, and he was essentially talking back and saying, you know, we will guard your daughter as our own, and, you know, if you live, find us, you know, we'll fight together basically, but if you die well. And man, this episode was really good. I know people sometimes immediately among seeing things or episodes like this through trailers or whatever, they're thinking, crying out loud, another side detour, blah 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 blah. But no, it was remarkable and amazing, and told so many things that nicely gave us a dose and a fill up, a refill of what we needed to continue forth with more Westworld episodes. Now, one thing I want to ask in terms of William's daughter, do you think she was lying just to get her father back? Because the reason why we know Akasheta wanted to keep William is because he has a shit ton of memories of how bad this man has been throughout the past years of Westworld. He remembers all of his previous lives, so of course, everyone knows William's been a dick in the past as the Man in Black ever since he made that transformation. So of course he said to his daughter, I want him to hurt. But that is when his daughter said, we want the same thing, but my way will be much worse. Now of course I thought, okay, maybe she's just saying that, but what if there is something else? What if she really is so salty, for lack of a better word, that she knows that he drove her mother to commit suicide? I don't know, guys. There's a million theories out there with this, but I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below regardless. But anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up this review here. I can't really say any more without repeating myself. An incredible episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Other than that, everybody, subscribe if you're brand new to this channel for more Westworld videos just like this, and be sure to leave a like on it if you did get this far and if you did enjoy it. I do want to say thank you to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting this channel, and if you're curious, be sure to check the Patreon link in my description. It is a way to really support this channel and fuel the content I create. Other than that, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.